Hey, and welcome to the Young Nairobian BuzzFeed, a channel for the youth, by the youth, showcasing insights into the vibrant lives of young Nairobians. This week, we focus on the TikTok sensation and its impact on Generation Z's mental space. We start with some Gen Zs sharing their experience using the app.
TikTok. I use TikTok on and off. I think it's one of the apps I just scroll on to get bored.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm bored, I just go on TikTok, scroll around, try to find. I don't really use it for news. I just use it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
I also make some weird content.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually recently started using it for weird content because prior to that I didn't have a TikTok account. I used to have one, I deleted it, then I got another one, I deleted it because it didn't make sense to me. But nowadays, wow, I end up using TikTok to the point where if I am tired is when I stop. It's not. I don't actually have a time set for. Yes, I need to be productive at this time. No, especially if it's at night and I'm trying to sleep. On TikTok, and then I realize, oh, it's 4 a.m.
Okay.
On TikTok, the next time, it's 5 and I can hear birds. Let me sleep.
Okay.
So I wake up in the morning and I get my phone. I'll find myself scrolling on TikTok, or I'm just bored doing nothing.
I'd say I don't have control over it.
Anytime I'm just free, I'll find myself scrolling on TikTok and watching videos, or when I'm searching for stuff. Yeah.
For TikTok, it's TikTok and actually ones that focus on your attention spans and geographical location and actually who your friends are, because I noticed many times on my For You page when I'm scrolling and then I get to some funny video or some video that is trying to say a certain thing, my friend who's just sitting next to me also comes across the same video. I'm like, I told my partner, you've got the same video. I've got the same video. So it's a thing where I've noticed it depends on whatever you're actually searching for as well. Because if I end up searching for hateful content or Christian content or business or just if you really want to have content about either with political polarization, you will definitely get that. So we could still be in the same house with Katambia.
Yeah.
He is looking at things that are considered very conservative, and I'm looking at things that are considered very liberal and forward-thinking or whatever. And there are ways you can actually, it gets you to feel like everyone is getting, since there's still that thing of having the same geographical content coming to you, you might end up being duped into thinking that what Katanga is watching is what you're watching. So even if you're arguing or having just a discourse in a certain way, you think that he should understand what you're saying because he must have watched what video you have. And it just makes people stop thinking of each other as individuals who can make their own opinions, and it becomes, I saw this on TikTok, so it must be the truth. The internet never lies. So I feel
Does that
Scare you?
it actually does. There's this thing I wanted to say. So you'd go on other apps and probably the shopping apps. I don't think I want to mention any. And then just put something in your cart, and then surprise, you're on TikTok. Just find the exact same thing you are looking for.
amazing. Amazon finds.
Yeah. And to me, like, so these people are really watching. Like, whatever it is, everything that I am kind of taking from my mind and putting in my phone, or just things that I get from the outside and just maybe kind of try and find out something on my phone. By some sheer luck or miracles, which I know of course it's not, because they're mining our data, you find it on your For You page. About it in a broader perspective, how much more are they getting? How much of your private information are they mining from you? I don't know. You might have an opinion, you might have had a different opinion before logging on this app, but then after that, yeah, that person that makes sense.
I almost became a flat earther once.
Oh,
No,
it's like,
no. It was so convincing. I'm like,
right.
why do they have all this proof?
Okay.
Why are they against NASA?
Yeah.
Which is interesting because you said you don't get like news on TikTok.
No, you
but
don't.
like,
Yeah,
but like
some
sometimes
things you can
Sometimes
actually,
you look-
they can
yeah.
actually
Yeah.
shape
Like when
your
the
opinions.
like when
Yeah.
the submarine disappeared, I actually found that out on TikTok.
Okay.
Okay. I
Okay.
never knew something like that happened. Then
But thanks to
yeah,
TikTok.
thanks to TikTok. I was like, oh, so there's a sub, and it had gone on for like I don't know 2 days.
Yeah.
So you see, I had not missed a lot of news by that time, and
Okay.
it really did on my For You page. Yeah.
Right.
So
I still have something to say about the data being mined and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, it's not only TikTok that's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming a problem where everyone is talking about TikTok because it's not really one of the Silicon Valley apps that everyone loves and wants to be associated with. It's outside of there, and it's actually gaining a lot more popularity than the ones that are there. Google has been doing the same thing with even emails and stuff. Google does it actually.
they literally do it
Most
on
tech
your
companies always do it as long as you have Google on your phone, or as long as you're connected to the internet and you
You're
have
always
ever
doing it.
done anything. People have your data. It's just that you don't know about it.
Don't think about
You just never think about it because it seems safe and they're friendly and they talk to you with good marketing PR.
Yes.
Yeah, Logans and slow. Yeah, so this guy is.
Is the more I've been watching TikTok since the videos are short form, I find that it has affected my concentration span because videos are like 1 minute, 30 seconds. So I've had struggle like watching long form videos, say YouTube videos or basically longer videos. So my concentration span has reduced.
Well, personally speaking, I have this bout of when I want solitude, but then it's not really solitude if you go on social media. It's an oxymoron. Like I am not really with people, but then I am with
a
people.
digital social
Yeah,
kind of.
I'm just hiding behind the screen. I'm socializing behind a screen,
Okay.
which is. I think that's the thing that really scares me about these things, TikTok and other social media apps. Yeah,
Okay.
because you find yourself like you can't live without them.
Right.
I recently went on a social media fast for like 2 months. And then when I came back, that's the problem with going cold turkey. I went cold turkey. I was like, today I'm going to delete everything. When I came back, I consumed so much of it. It's like being sober for 2 months. Then now you relapse, and now you are drinking 6 bottles, and now you are like at 50 because it really pulls you, and it seems harmless, but it's not, because it affects your mental health. You need to actually find out why you're feeling this way. Do you need rest? Do you need social interactions, like physical social interactions? But then you find yourself, you're like, I need to rest. TikTok feels like rest. They even have an auto scroll button. You just put there, I am resting. No, you're not.
That's not.
Your mind is still very active, and that's why you find yourself when in the middle of the night at around very crazy hours, maybe 3 or 4, find yourself watching TikToks.
Okay.
So are you really resting?
So TikTok for me is just a tool for me to put out my content and craft and make people laugh, because that's what I like doing. Drug business and tech industry where the customers are called users. Yeah.
TikTok user.
So now you're all of your users. It's only tech and users.
Right.
They're not calling you customers. They're calling you users.
Users. Okay.
Overload of information, it can get a lot. It can get a lot. So there are times I can't really pinpoint an exact example, but there are times where I'm just tired from TikTok, but I always find myself going back. I wouldn't say it has affected my mental health directly, but sometimes you get pressure from things you see on TikTok. Like, of course, people post nice things. Okay, TikTok has there's different sides of TikTok. There's the ones that feel like people are being real and all, but there's also the nice stuff, people traveling. So just maybe pressure, but generally my mental health, I wouldn't say. I feel like I use TikTok for the fun bit and for getting information. TikTok, I think it's more for me reducing the time I spend on TikTok. Yeah, I feel like I need to balance the time I spend on TikTok, not too much time on the phone, and yeah, actually engage in physical stuff, and especially the bit on it affecting my concentration span. I think I need to work on the time I spend on TikTok.
If I look back at the age when I was as young as the Gen Zers are, at that time in our country, we didn't have a lot of internet and smartphones. That's the time that they are just breaking even in this space. So I remember I got my first phone when I was probably 17 or something, or 16 there, and it was basically for doing calls to my mother to just inform her where I am or stuff like that. So afterwards, that's when I joined social media and all. And to be honest, before that time, we'd have better interactions with my siblings, because those are the closest people to me. We'd have better interactions with them. So even when we'd share stories or sit around the living room and watch a show, it would be more wholesome, if I can put it that, as compared to now where we are all on our phones. I can watch a different show and she can watch a different show and they can watch a different show at the same time. So we are together, but we are not together. The stories would be sweeter to know what people did or how they walked or what kind of dates they went to. And I think maybe that's the difference that I can see, that now the stories are more online.
Unlike the Gen Zs who've literally grown up with internet in their hands. So you have a small kid, like my nieces are less than 10, and all of them know how to operate a smartphone and a smart TV. They know it more than I do. I think in our times we'd have these kabambe phones that were quite limited, as Mo has mentioned. Only as much as you could do with them. I think they're very limited for purely for communications. And then if it could go, I think there were some that I think at that time you could access the internet, but quite limited in terms of what you could actually access. So I think just that meant you interacted more in person. I think I appreciated the physical interaction that I probably took for granted prior to the pandemic than after the pandemic, because I suddenly noticed how much they played a key role in my general well-being. So much so that, yes, I had all these gadgets at that time. Now I could talk to people via screens, but then there was no perfect substitute for meeting in person. So it sort of redefined that human relationship, that human interactions a bit more.
At times I do get influenced by the things that I see online. So you see people happier, with more money, living it large, you know. And at times it gets to you, by the way, because these are sort of your age mates.
Right.
Some of them have actually worked hard to be where they're at. But some of them, I mean, they got a silver spoon, as they say, or some good luck fell on their lap. And now they are doing well. And I think for me, switching off is the easiest way to just breathe in and take care of my mental health.
Right.
At times I've experienced a lot of anxiety when I have interacted with my social media. And it's not anxiety that has come from something that is real or something that is possibly a threat to me. It has come from a thing that is a thought, literally a thought, or an imagination, or something of a sort. And I sort of believe it, that it gets to me and I get that anxiety in my heart. So switching off at times has helped me to decompress. Yes, it has helped me to decompress.
Okay.
And I think the word is center myself.
Right.
And center my thoughts. And center what I believe in again, so that I can be able to wade through that muck that is happening at that point. At times also switching off my notifications. I mean, it's a simple thing, but it's so important. I did that recently actually. I switched off my notifications for a certain app, and
believe me, I slept well. I've never seen the value of people who say they go away from social media and come back. But that day I felt it. I felt the purpose for that.
Okay.
And so maybe those are the ways I try to center myself and be conscious of my mental health.
Yeah. Does it, I'll come to you. Does it get, would you say it gets easier to like a young, like a very young like teenager or Gen Z just generally, who is on TikTok or on another social media app and seeing someone else who's like doing greatly, seeing all these kind of nice photographs, captions, holidays and whatnot. Would you say that when you saw that a couple of years back and seeing it now, would you say you have a better way of just kind of disconnecting? Because some young people think that that's the real world. Like some young people don't know that what you see behind the screen is not always true. Like oftentimes, people just post their happy moments, or they might actually be at rock bottom, but posting just for the sake of posting. Do you think it gets easier like as time, a couple of years back and now?
I think it does get easier because now when you grow up, you define a lot of what you are as a person and the values that you hold and the things that you believe in. So those three aspects of your life become more refined with time. We talk about FOMO a lot, fear of missing out. I think when you're younger, there's a lot of FOMO because, as you're saying, life is happening online. So if I'm not online, I'm not what is it called? I'm not in tune with what is going on in my world or the world that I think is real. So about celebrities, about the newest fashion in town, about food, the restaurants people are visiting. These are not things that some of us grew up with because we grew up with simple lives. You go home, you go to school, you go to your religious whatever where you worship and all that. And that was where your world was centered, around your family and your friendships, who are very close people. So now we can reach anyone using a phone or using technology, and that FOMO comes in there. So that now I don't know what is happening, so I must be lost or I am confused or something of a sort. But as you grow older, I think that one time when you switch off and you see nothing much has changed with me being offline for 5 hours or for even 2 hours, even 1 hour, that nothing much has changed, it actually gets easier for you to disconnect as time goes by. So you can disconnect now for 3 days and 5 days, and eventually at times, like Dan is saying, you find yourself completely disconnected.
I'm not too big in social media. I have very specific platforms, and that's very deliberate. So until I know exactly what value this platform is providing to me, I am very hesitant to just have it because everyone else is having it. So I try to disconnect a bit and think through my decision-making process, some of the things that have been happening, sort of just try to catch up with me. I noticed I can be on the go a lot and things are happening, life is happening every single day. And I think I've really enjoyed those moments when I stop to pause and just reflect on, hey, where are you, what are you doing, and where do you want to go? I think that's been really, really important. So being not so much into social media means probably the only social media detached from this WhatsApp, which it's sometimes quite necessary because of just communication. But I think obviously it's become quite a social media kind of thing, less of a communication tool. So that's, I think as late as last week, I did disconnect for some time. And I think it really, really does help me to be in tune with where I am, and be in tune with my emotions, be in tune with some of the decisions that I made and just how the implications of that, some of the places I want to go. So it gives me a bit more space to reflect on myself. That's not something I'd normally do a lot often. I'm quite the social person and I go out on that. But I think disconnecting that has sort of given me that space to really, really, really think through myself. The other thing I wanted to mention on most times to most point is I think the whole thing around FOMO. I think in the early years I see it a lot with my my nephews and my nieces, so they're like in that stage. I think because when you grow up, I think your value system has developed, the way you make a decision, you've made a lot of mistakes and you've learned from that. So for them, it's sort of like still a template, it's still very blank. There's nothing they're making that decision on. So what tends to inform the decision making is a lot of their peers, and now probably in this day and age is the influencers and what they're saying. So that tends to define a lot of what these people are doing. So the former thing is a bit more heightened in that stage because the basis of your decision making is largely your peers. So it's being matching up to what your peers are doing. I think all of us can relate. When you're like in high school, you're teenage, like that 15 to 18 years old, that was like the most heightened period of peer pressure. You didn't want to miss out. I think I've had enough stories of friends telling me how it was like being told they were not part of the group was such a big thing for them, you know. So I think it's a much more different, especially when you grow old, when you're growing, and that those kids are still growing. So once probably where we are right now, you've learned a lot, you've made a lot of mistakes, learned a few things from there, and I think your value system hopefully has also really changed, and that now tends to define your interactions a bit more. So being very particular in those particular social media platforms, being very particular on which pages and which channels you actually follow. I think that really also helps because I think there's a lot of clutter, and now being able to find, because there's very useful things in there, but now what really is useful for you may not be what is being recommended to you. So being very particular on this platform, these are particular spaces, or these are the particular areas that I think are useful for me.
It's about being mindful of what you're allowing to influence your thought process and to influence you, because now we call them influencers. At times it helps to just scroll by, seeing something and knowing it will trigger an emotion or it will trigger something negative in me, and just skipping it. I mean, FOMO is not the best place to be, but at times it is nice to miss out. It is nice to miss out. It's nice to not know. There's a thin line between being okay with what you know and ignorance, but at times, it's better to not know, especially if it affects you negatively and it affects your mental health negatively. So be mindful of what you allow into your space and allow to influence how you think or what you do or how you feel, the friends you have and stuff like that.
I think if you disconnect from something, you need to disconnect into something, to connect into something. Because if you merely disconnect from something and not plug into something else, your mind could still be very much there, and that doesn't quite help you. So I think there's a place of moving from here and focusing on this particular thing. So that sort of becomes a substitute.
I think you learn a lot when you interact with people who are real or here with you. I'm not negating the fact that online presence gives you awareness of a lot of other things that you wouldn't know when you're not in that platform. But in addition to that, being here with Dan and having a conversation with him might open up my mind to something more different or magnificent than I had initially thought of or I have been influenced in online. Another thing maybe on having relationships, our parents are here for a short time. We like to believe that they'll live forever. Even our siblings, we like to believe that they'll be here around us together forever. And at times it's okay to put your phone down, to put your laptop down, to put that thing that is giving you entertainment down for a moment and connect with these people who are here for only but a moment, you included. I think as I have been in my adult years, the last few years, one thing that usually makes me feel sad, but not a bad kind of sadness, nostalgic kind of sadness, is how I miss being at home with my siblings and my parents and just interacting with one another in a very simple setup. Eating, or as I was saying, watching a show together, or playing together. They are some of them are much older than me, but we'd play together and you'd feel acknowledged or have a sense of belonging, that these people know me and love me. So maybe a word of advice is, be with those people when they are there. That we're not promised forever. No one is promised tomorrow. So be there with them. Have presence. Let your presence be felt, and also feel their presence when they're there. Not to make up for the time that they won't be there, but to relish the moments that we have together, as temporary as they are.
To my niece, I wouldn't tell my niece. She's 14 and I really love her, to be honest. And I see pretty much most of the things she's saying. She really loves TikTok. On a given day, she'll be on TikTok much of her time, then spend a few times in doing some other things. But I really also enjoy the times we spend together with her, because I really get to know her and I get to really see some of the things that otherwise, even if she were telling me online, I would probably pick. So I think that's probably one of the things that I would say that physical interaction give you. Like, you're able to get to see the person for who they are, or you're able to pick out the real experience of this person. You're able to observe the emotions through the things, or the expressions through the personal interactions with them, which you probably might not be able to observe online. So certain things may be masked online, or rather on screen, that you could actually observe by meeting in person. So I think that's one thing that you would miss if you actually just want to. That authenticity in your interaction, authenticity in your relationships, you miss it out because you're just relying purely on screen, my dear niece. And then the other thing, I think, much with the way I've seen much of these platforms operate, they seem to feed you what you want, in a sense, feed into that particular thing that you really, really want, and that can get addictive. That can really, really begin to control you. And anything that really gets control of you, it's never really good for you, in as much as it might actually look like it's good for you in that particular time. So it begins to control your emotions, it begins to control who you are, and you begin to now attach even your value to the online space, less to the actual person that you are. So I think being very aware that at the moment it begins to control you, I think that's the moment you really need to be particular. Hey, it's not healthy for you. Anything that controls you is not healthy for you. So social media is good. All these online platforms are really good if used correctly. They're beneficial. They're good, but not all of them are really beneficial. So you need to draw that line at what point this is beginning to take toll of me, is beginning to control me and making me a slave to it, so that I'm waking up, my niece wakes up on TikTok, she sleeps on TikTok. Every time I give her my phone, probably the first thing she wants, she's disappointed it's not on TikTok, there's no TikTok on my phone, she wants to go online on TikTok. And I think there's a place for that. But I think up to that time, when it begins to control you, it's not really good for you. I think a lot of studies have actually been done to show that guys are a lot more lonelier, in as much as we actually think now we can access and we can engage a lot more with people. You get more lonelier. Just the way God has actually wired us. He's sort of wired us for that human, that relational, we are relational. So that relational aspect of us is not to be substituted by the social media platforms. So in as much as you'd find everyone, like you find yourselves in this, like a bus or anything, anyone's on their phone, and then no one like is talking to anyone, and, which is kind of true, yes, but I think the relational aspect, you'd rather have 2 or 3 like really true intimate friends that you can actually connect to and can really get to know you for who you are, than to the whole world that will only probably get to notice you when you post that very nice picture of yourself on whatever platform that is, and they seem like they're interacting with you there, but that's as an aspect of you they're interacting, and they're missing the whole person of you. So I'll tell my niece that.